Welcome back to the channel. It's time to start working on the plumbing, and first thing I'm going to do is mount that water heater. So this is where I'm going to mount it, just about an inch higher right here. It has this little mounting bracket to mount it, but I don't have a stud behind where I want to put it. I don't want to put it on this stud right here because I won't be able to fit the mountain bike in. So I'm going to take that rear panel off and I'll put a 2x4 in there, so I'll have something to screw into. I cut this 2x3 here I had left over, and I'll tap this into place right here. Got some Craig pocket screws drilled. That should be plenty sturdy to hold the water heater up on the other side. I've got most of the things I'm going to need here laid out. We've got just a couple 3/4 pieces for the overflow pressure release valve on the water heater there, that brass piece. And I'll just need to run a little PEX line going through the bottom so it could drain out. And then everything else will be 1/2 inch. I've got some female adapters. Those will go on top of the water heater, the hot and cold. Some more female adapters and some male adapters. A whole bunch of T's. I think I've got 4 of them. I've got 2 of these angle stop valves for under the sink. And then 2 of these style shut-off valves, ball valves. A bunch of elbows. Going to need a bunch of these, so I just buy the big pack. And you're going to need a bunch of these pinch clamps. It's better to buy the 100 pack of this than buying 10 at a time. They always seem to run out. Got some Teflon tape. This is the pipe cutter for the PEX, and this is the tool to put the pinch clamps on. Going to be using PEX B. This is the 1/2 inch, this is the 3/4. The colors don't really matter. It's actually the same exact pipe. You can use blue for hot, blue for cold, doesn't matter. The white PEX is PEX A, and that is a different type of pipe, and I wouldn't use that for a van because people like to use it because it's more flexible and it's easier to work with, but it's also more susceptible to bursting when the pipes freeze. It's very difficult to make PEX B burst when it freezes because it does stretch a bit and it's stronger. I saw a test online. They compared this with copper and PEX A, and this stuff didn't burst when it froze. Some people do say that when it gets older it becomes more brittle, then it can split when it freezes after many years. If that ever happens, you could always just cut that section out and put a new section in. It's really easy to work with. So I recommend using PEX B, not the clear or white looking PEX A. And for the 3/4, the only place I need this is to go from the pressure release valve through the bottom. So I know there's a number of different ways to make these connections with PEX. So before I get a whole bunch of comments, why don't you do the other way? Why don't you do this way, that way? A lot of different ways work. You can do whichever you like. I prefer to use these clamps, which works with this tool. All you do is put the tool on here. You squeeze it 8 or 9 times. And that's it, you're done. So this works great for me. If you like some of the other ways, you can do that as well. There's more than one way to do it, but this is the way I do it. Going to install the water pump under the kitchen cabinet, and first you need to put on this filter, inline filter, and you can see the pump has an arrow here. That's the direction the water is going to travel. So obviously you're going to need the filter on the side before the water goes into the pump. I put a little bit of Teflon tape there, and this just hand tighten screws on. And from here we'll add a female 1/2 inch adapter. Put a little more Teflon tape on this side here. When you put the Teflon tape on, you need to make sure you put it on in the direction that you're going to be screwing on the fitting, so that when you screw on the fitting, it tightens down the Teflon tape as opposed to unraveling it. You'll know you've done this right if the last piece of it is facing the direction you're spinning the fitting on. So now we can screw this on. And now we need another female fitting on this side. These threads are plastic and they want to get messed up really easily. You have to be careful. So I'm going to mount the water pump under this cabinet here. You can see I already have the wire pre-run. That's on a switch when you first enter. So this is going to go like this. The water will come in on the filter side and then it'll exit on that side there. From there I'll make one line going to the sink for the cold water and another line coming out this way going to everything else. So I'm going to take some measurements and I'm going to drill a hole somewhere around here for the intake side. Just want to go enough till it comes out the other side and then finish it from the other side. This 3/4 bit is perfect for the 1/2 inch hex tubing. So the pump just mounts with 4 screws right through this rubber here. I'm going to use these 1-inch screws, which should be perfect to not go past the cabinet. Before I mount it, I think I'll put the wire connection on first, because it's going to be difficult to work under the cabinet once I mount this. Okay, so I got the 2 wire connectors on, and I just use this kit that I've shown before. I'll put a link for this. So before you screw this under the cabinet, I'd recommend connecting as many connections as you can, so I don't have to be under the cabinet trying to make these connections. So here we have our intake coming in from the water tank. It's going to come in through the filter, through the pump. This will go back out to service for the water heater and the hose in the back, and then this one here will go to the kitchen faucet cold. So now this should fit right in there and I can just screw it in. You can see I've got the holes drilled already. This one will go in here, that one there, and then I could just screw that right in there. I've got this kit here, which I'm going to use to keep all the pipes tight against the wall where I want them in place, so they're not rattling around. So I'll just add a bunch wherever the pipes are moving. I'll put a link for this in the description down below. Okay, so now I have the tank out. I'm going to put in all the connections. I've got a female 1/2 inch here I'm going to screw in. This is going to be the intake for the water pump. Over here is the fill. This will have a flexible tubing going to it. And then towards the back of the van, we'll have an air vent here. I'll need to put another 1/2 inch adapter here and another 1/2 inch adapter here for the drain, so we can drain the tank if we need to. And we're not going to use these. These come already capped. If you want to use them, you just cut out the plastic there and then you can use them. They're 1.5 inches. We're not going to use that. We will use this one, so we'll need to cut the plastic out right there. Put some Teflon tape on everything we're screwing in, and be careful when you screw this into the plastic because it tends to strip very easily. This one, I'm just removed the plug and I put Teflon tape on it and I put it back in, so we're not using that. Before you fully cut this plastic away, you don't want, once you cut it, for it to fall in the tank. You'll never be able to get it out. So go ahead and put a screw in it. Now you can hold on to the screw while you cut this out so it won't fall in. So now that that's cut out, I have this piece. I get this from Home Depot. It's an 1.5 inch adapter to go from 1.5 inch PVC to flexible hose line. And this will go on with a clamp. And I've got the hose over here. This is used for like a spa line. So I was planning on doing this setup with the spa hose coming out, connecting here. But this spa hose, it really doesn't like to make this bend. it's it's flexible, but it's not that flexible. So I think I need to pop this piece out, and I can screw this in, and then I can connect the spa line to that and have it connect right there to fill. I've got this fill hose connector here, which will attach up here. So now that I have that installed, the next thing I'm going to do is put in a little outdoor shower slash hose connection here, and also the fill line. So this is the little outdoor shower. It's got a hot and cold connection with a quick connect there, and then this connects to it. I'll put a link for this thing. It's pretty cool. You can use it as a hose or a shower out the back. I need to install a piece of wood to mount everything. So I've cut this 3/4 inch piece of plywood. I've sanded it down. Now I'm just gonna give it a few coats of paint. And this will go like that. While I'm waiting for that paint to dry, I'm going to put in the drain. So I need to drill a hole through here, and then we'll use this bit over here, 7/8 drill bit. Once you pierce through, you can finish the rest from the bottom. So here's the drain valve, and it just goes on this ball valve here. You get these from Home Depot. Okay, hopefully last hole for a while. This is for the pressure release valve on the water heater. It's going to be right around here. Okay, the water fill and the little outdoor shower is installed, and I tested it and I filled the tank halfway. No leak so far. Before I turn the water pump on, I just need to make these last two connections. Alright, the very last connection in the van for the pump. Done. Perfect. Now that everything's connected, we can put our fuse in the water pump. Okay, the fuse is in, and the moment of truth. We flip this switch, should have the water pump turned on, and then we have to check if there's any leaks. Okay, I hear it kicking on. Uh-oh, leak. Okay, well that was a mess. I got a little too excited to turn on the water, and I didn't check everything twice. And there's just like a million different crimp connections in this system all over the place. And there were two connections that I didn't crimp down that I just had sitting in place. There was one under here, which was really hard to get to once I put the tank in, and another one over here. So filled up the whole system with water and pressurized it, and this one immediately started leaking. So I turned everything off, figured out a way to get in there and crimp it down. Repressurized the system. This one was good. And then there was this one over here that wasn't crimped down. So that one didn't leak until I crimped down the other one. So then this one was leaking. I actually took the fuse out so I wouldn't accidentally turn the water pump on while I was working on it. So I have to throw the fuse back in. That's the light, that's the water pump. Okay, first good sign is the water pump shut off, which means we don't have any big leaks. So now we just gotta get under here. Let's see if anything's leaking. I don't see anything yet, but I may have to give this a few minutes and just wait and see. I can just go around and check everything. And I'll check back with you in a few minutes after I've closely checked everything. Right now I'm getting ready to start working on the walls and the FRP board for the shower. Before I do that, I need to mount my diesel heater screen and run the wires from here to wherever I'm going to mount it. So I'm trying to decide, am I going to put the heater in the back or in the front here? So I think it's going to make most sense for me to mount it right here alongside the water tank. So that means I just need to run my wires from here and then coming out under the bed over here and then down. So that should be pretty easy to do. The first piece of FRP I'm going to cut is going to be the ceiling. So I'm going to actually pop this light out and we'll put the ceiling panel in and then we can pop the light back in over it. First I'm going to cut this piece down to a manageable size. I'm just going to cut 25 off the end here. So to cut this with the router, you're just going to need one of these little guide bits for your router that has the wheel on it, which will rub up against the piece of wood there that I've clamped on, and that'll give us a nice straight cut straight across. Alright, first piece is cut to shape. So I just need to cut the hole now for the light. So if I put this up here, so once I have it up here, I can see the outline of the light. So I'll make a little dot right in the center, and then I'll use my drill bit to cut the hole. Now what I'm going to do is kind of roll it on there. You can use like a vinyl roller, but I don't have one, so I'm going to use a regular paint roller. I think that'll still work. Put some good pressure on it.
I'm using a Loctite Power Grab adhesive. It's a special type of construction adhesive, and I'm just spreading it out with the caulking gun, and then I'm using the 1/8 inch trowel to spread it out evenly along the walls before I put the panels up. Attaching the end cap to the top and the bottom of the panel, using a little bit of silicone in the track and just sticking it on before I put the panel up.
So at Home Depot you can get these trim pieces. They have inside corners, top edge, bottom edge, and these are the outside edge corners. Unfortunately you can't use the inside edge corner on this project because the walls are curved. You can't curve an inside edge piece. So you can see I got the top piece here. And then we'll need to run a bead of silicone along here, all the way down. And I'll wait till I get this panel on to do that. So kind of get it all done at once. Alright, I'm about to put the last piece on. I have it all cut to shape. And one recommendation I would make sure you buy about 4 times the amount you think you need of this stuff, because I've been using 3 or 4 tubes of this on each panel, which is a lot more than I thought I would need. So buy a bit extra, you can always return it. It's probably not the most cost-effective way of doing this. I know they sell a big bucket of the FRP adhesive, but I wasn't able to find it anywhere. If anyone knows where you can buy that stuff, let us know in the comments so maybe some of the other people watching can find it. But this stuff works really well. I wouldn't recommend using just some regular adhesive. The thing about this stuff, as the name implies, it really grabs the FRP board. So when you put it on, it doesn't slide at all. It won't start sliding down and moving, which is pretty unusual for an adhesive. It doesn't even slightly slide, so if you don't line up the top right where you want it and you lay it in, you can't really move it down, so you have to like kind of pull it off and put it back down. Like it's kind of like putting a sticker on almost. That's how sticky this stuff is. Definitely recommend using this, or if you can find the FRP adhesive in the big bucket, that's probably more cost effective, but this stuff works great. Make sure when you test fit these panels, you do it with the end caps on, because otherwise you might need to cut 1/8 of an inch or so off and top and the bottom. You certainly don't want to put this on top of the glue and then have to cut this again. That'll just be a mess. So this looks good. I can pull it off, put the glue on the wood here, and then put it on one last time. So once I put that in, I just hit that with the belt sander real quick just to make sure that edge is completely flush. And then you cut one of these outside corner pieces, and you're just gonna put a little bit of silicone in the track here and then just slide it in. There's the outside corner trim piece on there now. Only thing left to do is just silicone all around the corners and everywhere now. Silicone's all done except in just this one spot here. I just have a little shim in there for the top piece here to dry in place, and once that dries so it stops kind of moving, then I'll finish off the silicone in that one spot. Okay, so now I can connect the shower head in through here, and I'm going to use the pipe sealant, or people call it pipe dope as well. This stuff's awesome. So make sure there's not going to be any leaking. It's much better than the Teflon tape. So you can see it's a pretty cool little low profile handle. This small space, it's nice to have a small handle like that so you don't bump into it and stuff. I'll put a link for this in the description down below, as well as the shower head. Okay, so now I can test this, see if it's working. I don't want to get the water on the wet silicone, so I'll just spray the shower head into the bucket here. There's a little push button stop on the shower head here. Oh wow, impressive water pressure on that, wow. Okay, now that everything's connected, I can give you an overview of how this whole system works. Here we have our fill. You can just stick a hose in there or a funnel, and it fills through there into the tank. Got a 28-gallon tank. Here is the inlet going into the water pump, which is behind this cabinet. This is a drain, if we ever want to drain the tank for any reason. This is really important. You don't want to skip this. This is an air vent. So this is just going straight down the bottom, so that as you put water into the tank, the air can escape through here. Also, if you overfill it, that'll be an overfill line as well. I've got a hot and cold shower connect here, and that can be connected with this. I'm going to make an attachment to actually use a shower head for this connection as well. I haven't done that yet. So that connects there, and you've got hot and cold. So that inlet comes into the pump. There's a water filter before it hits the pump right there. And then it goes to a T right here. This is going out the back. And this is going to the sink for the cold water line. This is the hot water line coming from the water heater. So it's got my hot and cold, and I'm going to mount these once I get the sink in. They're just loose for right now. So like I said, that cold water line also comes out this way to right there, and it comes up. One line goes back to the outdoor shower, and the other line comes this way to feed both the cold for the shower and also to feed the water heater. So the cold goes in here through the water heater, and the hot comes out up here. One hot line going into the shower, the other hot line coming back this way, going into the sink and going back to the outdoor shower. I have the water heater attached to this switch here, so that when I'm driving, I can reach back and flip the switch, turn it on. It takes about a half hour to go from completely cold to hot water. And it works best when you're driving because you can use the alternator, because it does use about 1500 watts to go from completely cold to hot water. Once it's hot, it doesn't use as much power just to maintain it being hot. If you guys have any questions on anything I did here, just leave a comment. I do respond to all the comments. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. There's a lot more to come. Next episode, I'm going to be installing the refrigerator and the composting toilet. And also I'm going to get to the countertops soon. And the stovetop and the sink. So be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.